Hey ladies, this is Mocha Mommy here. I'm bringing you another video and I'm just going to bring it in this format so that I can get this topic out to you quickly because it's something that's concerning me. And I just want to make sure that you ladies have this information accessible to you. And I really wanted to get it out to you while it was on my mind. So I had listened to 3 podcasts yesterday, kind of when I was out and about and when I was doing chores and things. And then I heard some rebroadcasts while I was out gardening today. But basically, it's speaking mostly to millennials, okay? It's been pretty well documented that millennials are very, very insular, more insular than ever before. That there are a lot of documented reasons as to why millennials are not out in the dating market, are not really out socializing as much. And this is like pre-pandemic issues that millennials have had when it comes to socializing overall, particularly male millennials. A lot of it may have had to do with the economy and not having the disposable income to go out and socialize as much. The fact that so many more young adult children, particularly males, are living at home and then therefore can't socialize as much and have romantic relationships. Also, some of the attributing factors were things like delayed adulthood. You know, how many adults are just kind of doing a lot more online entertainment, adult entertainment, virtual adult entertainment, and just really not socializing with one another. I had even remember talked about the economy and video games. How there's a funny story that I used to tell that I told once about how in the medical field, you know, things like respiratory therapy, clinical lab, they tend to be a little bit more 50-50, more male, just as many males as females, right? But there was a point in time when a lot of the men, for whatever reason, it was a height, there were a lot of bonuses being offered, a lot of overtime being offered, that they were not participating. And the question was, where were the men? Why were the men not participating in this really time when there was a lot of plentiful overtime in lab, x-ray, respiratory therapy, where men are very well represented? And my husband kind of made a joke, and he said it was because the video game Red Dead Redemption 3 was out. And that when there's a popular video game launch, a lot of men don't participate as much in the economy. Shout out to the Lines Between the Stars podcast. Their last upload was really good, where they were talking about how in China, and it may very well have a domino effect in other countries, that China is kind of putting a decrease on about around the hi Mika about around the amount of time that men and boys spend on video games, because they want to basically increase productivity among the young men, among the young working age males, and also increase visibility among the young working age males. So again, it's well documented that millennials are insular, you know, and I just really knew that I had to kind of get some resources out and not just tell you ladies to go out. I knew I needed to really work on creating resources that can help instill confidence and talking points and really good data and tips, so we can get more Black women to be less insular and to participate more in not just the dating world, but in socializing, to make friends, to build acquaintances and expand their networks. Because if you're shy and insular, it impacts your money too. Like what I was just saying, these men who are playing video games, it impacts their money, because at critical times they're not present to get those promotions, to become shift leaders, to make not just to make the bonus pay. So they're becoming increasingly insular, and women are becoming increasingly insular, but we really need to work on, just us being a little bit more outgoing. And I think that there's a lot of advice and tips out there as far as what to do and where to go, but none of it makes any difference if you're not going to use the advice that's being given to you, right? It's great if, and this particularly was Ayan Mizra's live that made me realize this. Afrocentric Woman, her last upload about going out freestyling. It just made it really clear that even if you give someone the whole game, right, you can give them the game, you can hand them the cards. If they're going to play it, that becomes a whole nother situation. Like, I mean, I can tell you what to do. I can show you where to go. I can point to it. But if you're not going to take advantage of that information, what good is it? Because I believe there's a lot of good information out there. And then it really made sense to me, especially when reading the articles about how it's more men being marginalized. It made a lot more sense to me that why these charlatans can charge money for courses and basically take advantage of people, men and women. It just let me know, like, how this happens, like how these people can sell thousands of dollars in courses and how people can get 1 million subscribers. It's because people are looking for tools, but then they're not building anything with it, right? They're looking for tools and they're not building anything with it because they're still in the house. They're still in the house and they keep thinking that it's something that they have to do or a way they have to dress or a designer label that they need or what size they need to be. And I'm trying to tell you that that's not what has to happen at all. Okay? That's not what has to happen at all. And I understand the anxiety, like I understand it, even though I haven't lived it and it's not been my particular struggle. I'm going to try my best to help you with that. But at the same time, no matter how many resources I give you or how many resources I bring to the table, me or any other content creator or any other person who's selling courses, it means nothing if you're not going to deploy it. And that's my challenge to you. That's my challenge to you is, listen, I can give you the game, okay? I can give you the game, but the reality is nothing is going to replace you playing it. Nothing's going to replace that. And that's really what I need to communicate to you ladies, because you gotta just do it. You got to just do it. And okay, I'll give you a couple tips, right? Where I live. Okay. Hold on, let me go back one. Okay, so I am not the most like designer label hungry type person. Okay. I have adult children who are driving, who I need to prepare for college. I don't want to be working until well into my 70s. We have land and an older home. So I don't spend a ton of money on clothes. Okay. I don't spend a ton of money on clothes. So I do tend to value shop, and I've always been that way. And I'm going to encourage you ladies to do the same, because if you're spending only like $30 to just try to figure out what silhouettes work best on you, what fabrics work best on you, then you can then decide what pieces to invest in that you can keep long term. So if there's like a new trend that's out or something that's, if there's a new trend, Mika, I definitely understand why people are more cautious. And I definitely agree. I agree that is definitely a contributing factor. Okay. It's a contributing factor, 100% for sure. All right. I will not dismiss that at all. I will not dismiss the current situation at all. All right. I'm not going to dismiss that in the least. But what I am saying is that there are still ways that you can still network and be safe. And also this pre-pandemic, okay? Pre-pandemic. This is still the reality before the pandemic even hit. This was still the reality. This was the reality before the virus. Okay, this was the reality before the virus. So you can say, oh, because no, it's not. It's not. This was happening years before the situation we're in now, to the point where there are documented studies about it. So this is not, I'm not talking about this particular situation. And I'm not trying to get mad at you, Lainey, but what I'm trying to say is that there's a way bigger issue at play, and it's not just the pandemic, okay? So, and it's not, and like I'm saying, it's not necessarily what you wear, right? So, because the thing is, it's going to be a learning curve. It's going to be a learning curve what silhouettes work best on you. It's going to be a learning curve as to where you need to go. It's going to be a learning curve as to trends. It's going to be a learning curve. This is why you need to be out, okay? You need to be out. 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 Really doesn't matter what you're wearing. Show up and then figure it out. There's going to be times when you're overdressed. There's going to be times when you're underdressed. But guess what? You got to figure that out by getting out. You can't keep staying insular. You cannot. There's 1,000 reasons to be insular. But then guess what? You're not going to have the success that you want. Not in your career, not being a business owner, not in your relationships, because you are in the house. You're in the house. You're in the house. Okay, I'm going to give you another example, okay? Like this burnt orange, right? It's very popular right now. So I'm probably going to get this at an inexpensive store, right? Wear it with some jeans because that burnt orange is very, very popular right now where I am. It's football season. Everybody's about UT. Everybody's excited about the new coach, the coach's wife. Everybody's super excited about it. You know, it's an exciting time right now. The all gas, no brakes, blah, blah, blah. It's all everybody's talking about. So this is the trend. And I'm going to take advantage of the trend at a very affordable store and get the attention and get the talks, because right now there's a very powerful alumni network, and my husband is having to make some moves. So hold on. Okay, so thank you for waiting. But he's having to make some money moves right now, and I'm going to have to help facilitate that. So again, I'm going to probably take a little bit more of an affordable approach, because this is just for a couple of weeks out of the year where he's going to need, you know, me to help facilitate these things. And there's going to be watch parties and things like that. But you know, we really have to take the initiative to get out of the house. You know, it's a time where it would benefit his career and the other things that he's doing outside of work, because, you know, he's got other side hustles going on. It benefits us to be out of the house. That's our money. This is our bottom line. This is our money right now. And we're not going to play with folks' money right now. Okay, we're not playing with my money. So of course I'm going to be out of the house, and I'm going to do that in the most cost-effective way. And we really, 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 really have to not be worried about what our clothes look like, if we're thin enough, even when it comes to online dating. Remember when I told you, ladies, when I did my online dating video, I told you, think of it like Little League and not like the World Series, right? Think about it like Little League and not like the World Series, where basically you're just learning things like boundaries. Okay, a lot of times Black women particularly will get on online dating. They'll spend days or weeks conversing, texting back and forth, messaging back and forth with one person, and then that monopolizes, a lot of their time, and then they don't move forward. right? Or they will say like, oh, these are all a bunch of dusties. Time out. Online dating is like a fundamental skill to get things rolling. Okay. The confidence boost from having people inbox you, learning how to have 20-minute conversations before you, 20-minute conversations before you press for a meetup. That's a skill, right? And then when you get those meetups, keeping those meetups timely so you can establish those boundaries, that's a skill. And you've got to build that skill, right? Because if you build that skill with the quote unquote dusties or broke dusties, build that skill set, then by the time you get to the men you want, you have those skills developed, right? You have those skills developed. You know how to set boundaries. You know how to detect somebody who's wasting your time. You know how to the warning signs and red flags because you've perfected that skill. And that's all I'm trying to tell you to do. I know it's not the be all end all. Like, yeah, I just think that it's not what we're building it up to be in our minds. Because yes, I do understand people meet the love of their life online. But when I talk to you a lot about my friend Kenya, right? Because that's the most online dating experience I've ever had. The reality is she spent months online dating, but the boyfriend she has now, she met through her son's Pop Warner football. But had she not had that experience of conversation initiation, learning how to perfect her look, learning even the area, because she had relocated after she got divorced for her job and she had to sell her home. And so even learning the area, all of those things were very pivotal in her getting the boyfriend she has now. I'm not going to discount gaming overall, because I know my oldest daughter's a gamer and she has game. Let me tell you, she can find a gamer, console or PC, and she can reel them in. She can talk to him that way. And that's the thing, but she still is outgoing. Like, she still has good conversational skills. She still has boundary setting skills. She still has her look, even though to me she looks crazy. It is still her look, even though she looks crazy. But she has perfected her look, her confidence, her conversational skills, her feminine power of suggestion, all of that stuff. She didn't let the game absorb her where she has no personality. And that's what I'm trying to say. And I think that happens a lot with us too, with our careers and our education, right? We let it absorb us and we don't develop our personality. You see what I'm saying? We need to let it develop. We need to still be creating our personality. So you really have to get out of the house. It really doesn't matter how much game I give you if you are not playing it. It does not matter. And I don't know what it's going to take because it's something I don't struggle with. I'm not judging you, but I am going to challenge you. I'm not judging you, but I am going to challenge you to just do something that gets you extroverted, whether it be a meetup, whether it be a book club, whether it be just to set up an online dating profile and then get 3 20-minute conversations in a week, whether it be and I get it. And I know a lot of people like, no coffee dates. And I get exactly why they say that. But what I'm trying to say is, some women have very, very great concerns. And they need 45-minute, dates in a lot of high traffic areas where they can get in and get out easy because they're still building that skill. Hi to you ladies coming into the chat. Hello. Hi. So I'm just letting you ladies know, it doesn't really matter how many tools I give you. If I tell you what to do, what to say, where to go, it's not going to make any difference if you don't get out of the house. And that's what I need for you ladies to really do. Okay? It's great. It's great if you have a hobby and a passion and an interest. That I highly encourage that. But I don't want you to get lost in it to the point where you're not developing, your personality, to where you're not developing those conversational skills. Because it's awesome if you're a gamer and you love it. But if, the conferences come back in town, and like the Comic-Con and all those conferences come back in town, and you haven't developed that skill, none of that knowledge serves you. If you're very, very interested in your career and conventions start to come back to reality, if you're not outgoing, none of that's going to serve you. So this is why we really, really, really need to focus on that skill. Okay, we really need to build that skill. So I'm going to work really hard to give you ladies like resources to help you. But at the same time, you have to develop this skill. I mean, and it kind of makes me a little sad, that there's so much great advice out here, so many great resources out here, and people would rather like make manosphere reaction videos or blah, 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 blah. But I kind of remember that content creator that Aya Mizra introduced me to, Ruslan KD, the Christian-based content creator. Basically, he said that his thing is not to get scriptures to refute them. That doesn't mean anything. The biggest challenge that he has to face is to really be the type of man who goes out to seek to encourage and build up other men, right? So again, the challenge isn't really for me to like refute things that people are saying, or because I really thought that that's what I was coming to YouTube to do. But at the same time, I'm realizing it's really about giving you ladies the encouragement you need to go out and face the world, the work world, the business world, the dating world, the social world. That's really what needs to happen, because then you're going to see that those folks are charlatans, right? You'll see that they're lying. You'll see that they're not what they say they are, because you'll be in the real world enough to know. You'll be in the real world enough to know that that's not how the real world works. So that's my goal. That's my goal, is to give you ladies the tools and the encouragement. And when you get the tools to build the confidence, build the social skills, build the discernment, build that feminine communication skill set that you need, once you have the tools, because the tools are out here. The tools are out here. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm constantly using some of those encouraging techniques to get you guys out of the house. It's not anything you have to do. Hello, Afrocentric women. Your ears must be burning. We were talking about your last live that you had put up. But basically, we have to help young women build that feminine confidence. Because it's not just Black women who are struggling with it. Clearly, it's pretty well documented that millennials as a whole are struggling. And then as a result, as Gen Z is coming up and we're starting to know more about them socially, those things might start to come to fruition. And although I don't think that it's terrible that 1 in 3 men between the ages of 18 and 29 are not in a sexual relationship, I don't think that's necessarily the bad things. I don't think it's a bad thing. So that is good. That's great advice. That's great advice. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, especially considering like the caliber of men who are the ones who are at the bottom of the totem pole. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, because I think that's just life. Because they talked about a lot of them are undereducated, underemployed, or unemployed, who are the men who are more likely to find themselves in this situation. Basically, I just think that we have to encourage one another. And then we have to kind of figure out what we need to do to kind of build skill. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that social media breaks, I think I probably do a social media break. I know I've taken a lot of people off of my feeds, um and I have to definitely, and I've started doing more audiobooks and podcasts instead of constantly listening to YouTube a lot. So I'm going to be doing more books and less social media. So I agree, because I think that it does have a good point. And thank you, Kita Baby, for always adding a lot. You add a lot to the conversation, so thank you very much. But basically, I kind of want to talk to you ladies too about why dating is so important. Excuse me. So basically, I talked to you guys a lot about my friend Kenya, right? And our experience with online dating. You know, I was the one who like helped pick out some of her outfits and went with her to the hairdresser, and got with her makeup consultation so we can get her pictures taken. She agreed to let me pick her first few matches. She agreed to let me pick her first few matches, whatever. When she did finally do an online dating profile, I gave her a couple of tips and some vetting advice. When she was seeing guys, me and my husband decided to go on double dates with her, right? She was vetting people to see what we thought. So again, it was a really good experience for all of us around, even though she didn't end up meeting the guy she's with online, it was helpful to her. Okay. So as now Kenya is with a guy who is very, very like adventurous and outgoing, outdoorsy type of guy, right? He's super outdoorsy. So excuse me. But anyway, he's super outdoorsy, right? Very masculine guy, a guy's guy, like drives a big truck. He's a firefighter, hunts, fishes, has a bunch of guns, like lives way, way out in the burbs. Like Kenya lives in the burbs. I live in the city. She lives in the burbs. But he lives way out in the burbs. Not too far from her, but far from us because, again, we live in the city. But just a very, very masculine guy. And I think that there's maybe I love him. My husband absolutely adores this guy because she and I have been friends for a while. My husband did not like her ex-husband. So he had no ally in my husband when they were trying to like reconcile that period. This man, Kenya's ex-husband, Eric, he had no ally in this family here because my husband did not like that dude. So this guy, my husband really likes because they have a lot in common, right? They both are avid RVers. They're both manly men. They both like to be outside and all this stuff. So I think the thing with Kenya is I think she may be not realizing like what this type of guy actually is, right? Like not really sure what role she plays because he's such a masculine man. So here's the thing. He will say something like, oh, I'm going to wake up at 5:30 in the morning and go over to my cousin's house to get the boat out and we're going to go fishing. So she's thinking, well, I got to wake up at 5:30 and go fish with this guy. And I'm like, well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. If he's waking up 5:30 in the morning to go fishing, like my husband likes these fishing charters too. I did one fishing charter and I will never do that again. But for the most part, he just kind of wants like her support, you know? Like, so if my husband were to go on a fishing charter or he would wake up and go early fishing, I like will wake up when he wakes up. I'll make him some coffee. I'll pack him some snacks. I'll give him a kiss and be like, good luck and have a great day. You know, and then I will like, when he brings the fish home, I like take pictures and I put it on my Instagram, my Facebook. I'm like, look what my baby caught. My man over here buying fish. My man over here bringing home fish, you know. And, you know, I'll, you know, get the grill and all the spices going. I'll get the cedar prank and I'll grill the fish, or, you know, or depending on what kind of fish it is, I'll get some cornmeal and some hush puppies and the deep fat fry. And I like fry the fish, you know, and like tell him how happy and how proud I am that he caught the fish. But I'm not going to get on the boat. He got boys to get on the boat. Like, so if Craig is going fishing with his cousins, really, he is going fishing with the other men. He just wants his woman's support in him fishing. Like when Craig and my husband was like, oh, we're going to go out shooting. We're going to go get you know, he's got, because Craig's family has land. Like, we're going to go out to Craig's family's land and we're going to go skeet shooting. And they got shotgun shells and all this stuff, like, and clay pigeons and all that. I have my own little personal, you know, safety equipment, but I'm really not about to be all about like, no, like that's what the men are going to be doing. So it was like Craig and 3 other guys and my husband. So they're out there shooting, and I just bought like the drinks and the chips and all the other wives, and we're sitting and we're talking, and you know, the other wives are talking about their businesses and their kids and their lives and all this stuff like that. So it was just like, he just wanted that support. So I'm in a sundress and sandals, and they were going to go shoot on Craig's land, and then we were going to go watch like some of the college football games. And my husband is kind of building his side business, and some of Craig's circle could benefit, you know, from that. So of course I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be like, again, I'm not saying that all men are not like this. Some men will appreciate hunting with their spouses, but that's not most of the time. I think most of the time men just, like when you're newlywed and you're new in the relationship, you want to do like everything together. Like, oh my gosh, we love you so much and I don't want to be apart from you. And blah, blah. We went through that phase, you know, as a couple. We did go through that phase. But to me, I can honestly say like one of the biggest lessons I remember, it was when my husband, when we first moved to Texas, and we're here in Texas, we're back from overseas, and he wanted to go to Texas Motor Speedway to go see some kind of racing, right? And I did not want to do that. And Texas Motor Speedway is hot, is noisy, is smelly, because, you know, like veterans get like priority at that time. They were getting, and he came, and he's like, you want to go? And I'm like, no. Like, no, I don't, no. No, I don't want to go to there. And, you know, so it was funny because his brother and my uncle was visiting in town, and my dad, they all went together because it was like a veteran and could bring a guest. So my dad with my husband, and my uncle with my brother-in-law. So all 4 of these men are like drinking beer and smelling car fumes and watching races and sitting in the hot sun, and they had like a great time. I would have not had a good time there. Like, so I was grateful that he had like other men who could do that, you know, with him. And I just made sure that he had, you know, a nice meal when he came home, and I had aloe vera gel because he was sitting in the sun all day, you know, and I knew he was probably burnt up a little bit, you know. It's just, you know, that's just how I feel like a lot of times they want to be masculine, they want to do things, they want to be around other men, but they just want your support. And I think that she has to kind of get to learn to be like supportive of him. Like when he fishes, fry it for him. When he hunts, take pictures on your Instagram of how great it was and then make something from it. He really doesn't need you to hunt for him, to do it for him, to, especially if you're not knowledgeable of those things. Like he don't really need to be like babysitting you or making sure you're comfortable the whole time if he really wants to DG. Honestly, I think that if you're a late bloomer, honestly, I think that gives you an advantage. Personally, I don't understand why people think that they need to be in these relationships as teenagers, because I think to me that just creates volatile situations. Yeah, I think that probably you being older coming into it, definitely like being older coming into it is going to give you an advantage. So I don't really necessarily think being older in a relationship is a bad thing. I think that there's a lot of immaturity that you won't have to deal with, and that your partner doesn't have to deal with because you're older. So yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree. I do agree some of these perks are reserved for husbands, but they're like sort of, I don't think either one, I'll be honest, I don't think either one of them want to get married again. Like at this thing, like I don't think that these two, I don't think they either want to I think they'll probably end up like living together or like having like some kind of a semi thing because they both have kids and I don't think they want to get married again. But at the same time, I just think like, I think like some things are like, I definitely think she has to learn to play a little bit more of a support role for his hobbies as opposed to doing his hobbies with him all the time. Because I don't think that's what he's asking. So yeah, I don't know. I don't see, we'll see how it goes. But at the same time, it's like, it's such a huge part of his life. And I understand her wanting to participate in his life. And I wouldn't suggest she does it every single time, but definitely if he's mentioning it to her, I think, and also too, I think the culture here, I think that's just kind of the culture here. Like it's a huge part. But I think like, and the biggest thing I want to take you ladies to take away from this story is make sure that's what you want. Like, make sure that, because we hear it on YouTube all the time. I want a masculine man, and these men are effeminate, and blah, 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 blah. Like, make sure that masculine men, that's what you want. Make sure you want that level of decisiveness. Make sure you want that man who has, like, if a guy is like a landowner and, his family is long-term landowners and that's how they socialize, make sure that that's what you want. Because sometimes like a metrosexual guy might just be better for you because you care about fashion and you care about appearance and you like being in the city and you like, shows and restaurants and wine tastings and all that stuff that comes with being in the urban area. That's why I think it's important that you just start to date and date casually and don't date necessarily because you think that there's this huge end objective in mind. Like, don't date thinking that you're finding the love of your life. Date with the pretense that you're, hold on. But date to learn yourself. Like, date to learn if you are more of the country girl or the city girl. Date to learn the boundaries. Date to learn the importance of, just date to learn. Date to learn. Date to learn. And that's the thing that we're missing. So again, Don't put too much pressure on yourself, because I think that's maybe one of the reasons why the anxiety levels are so high, because people are trying to like putting this pressure on themselves to meet the love of their life, when in reality, it's just putting yourself out there so you can learn. So that's what I want to encourage you ladies to do, because overall, that's the meaning of the story. Like, is this what you want? You know, is this what you want? Is this what you want? And is this what you want looks like? Is this what you want your future to look like? Okay. So just be aware, be self-aware, and go into this with the attempts of learning yourself. Like, right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you, Digital B Media. Thank you for that. That's a great comment. But I just want you ladies to just learn yourself, learn your boundaries, learn where you're comfortable, and just kind of get out of there and start developing that feminine confidence that you need. So I'll be bringing like a lot more resources with helping you build that. And I'm more than happy to provide the tools, but you ladies have to do the building. So I'll see you ladies in the next video, and thank you.